Hello and welcome to this R tutorial. So in the previous section we implemented the a priori model to find some relevant association rules that could help us find a more strategic placement of some products in a grocery store in the south of France, and therefore thanks to these association rules, the manager of this store is likely to optimize the sales and therefore increase the revenues, and accordingly we managed to create some added values in this business thanks to association rule learning. And today, we are going to implement a new model of association rule learning, which is called the Eclat model. So the first thing I want to say is, to prevent any disappointment you might have, the Eclat model is actually very simple compared to what we did previously, because the Eclat model is basically the a priori model simplified. Because previously we had two parameters, we had the support and the confidence, and we also had the lift, by the way, when we ranked our rules by their decreasing lifts. But here in the Eclat, we will only have one parameter, which will be the support parameter. And therefore, when we obtain our rules, that will not be the rules that we obtained earlier, like people who bought this also bought that, but we will just get some different sets of products frequently bought together. We will get the different sets of products that are the most frequently purchased together. So that's what we'll get. We have to expect this. But, you know, the Eclat model can be very useful if you don't have much time, if you want to get some simple results, if you don't want to play with too many parameters like the support and the confidence. Here, we won't even have to compute a value for the support, and moreover, we won't even have to choose a value for the confidence because there is no confidence parameter. So you'll see this is the way of using association rule learning in the simplest way. So let's do it right now. You'll see what I mean at the end of this tutorial. So let's start with the very first step, setting the right folder as working directory. So we'll go to our machine learning AZ folder. Part 5, Association Rule Learning, and right now we are in Eclat. So here it is. We have the market basket optimization. We will work on the same business problem, and so we can click on this More button here and now set as working directory. And, you know, since I told you the Eclat model is a simplified version of the a priori model, what we'll do now is take our a priori model, and you'll see that it will almost be the same, and we will just need to change one thing. So I'm going to select everything from here to here, copy, and I'm going to paste it in the Eclat model. All right. So here in this section, data preprocessing, we don't have anything to change. We are just going to import the data set with the read transaction functions. Be careful, not with the read.csv file, because we still need to have our sparse matrix that will also be an input of the Eclat function, like here for the a priori function. So we will select this and execute. And of course, we get the same number of duplicates. The CSV file hasn't changed. We have 5 duplicates and no triplicates, just 5 duplicates. Okay. Then of course, we can use the summary function to get some info about this dataset. But of course, these are going to be the same info as before. So we have 7,500 transactions, 119 products, and the density is 0.03. That means that the proportion of non-zero values in the matrix is 0.03, 3%. And then of course we have the most frequent items. Mineral water comes first, then eggs, and we can actually have a better look at these most frequent items by selecting this line and execute. And of course we get the same frequency plot. So that's exactly like before. We don't have anything to change here. However, now we enter the second code section, which is to train the Eclat model on the dataset. So first we will just replace a priori here by Eclat. Here we go. And guess what? It is so simple. Here we have the a priori function to train the a priori model. And guess what the function is going to be to train the Eclat model? It's going to be Eclat. So very simple. We are almost ready to train Eclat on our dataset. But of course, the Eclat model is much more simple. It doesn't include the confidence in the parameters. If right now we go to the slide of the Eclat algorithm from the intuition tutorial, well, we can see that the Eclat algorithm has 3 steps, and the first step is to set a minimum support. Remember before, for the a priori algorithm, the first step was to set a minimum support and a minimum confidence. Now, we only need to set a minimum support. So we don't need this. Actually, this parameter is only for the a priori model, so if we keep that, we'll get an error. I'll just remove this, and we can leave the minimum support to 0.004. But you'll see that it's even not necessary here. You'll see why at the end. However, we might need to add another parameter. It's because, since I mentioned that the Eclat algorithm is just going to return the sets of items most frequently bought together, well, it wouldn't be interesting to have sets of only one item. So in order to get some sets of at least two items, we will add another parameter here, which we actually encountered earlier, and which is the minlen parameter. And we will set it to 2, because we want to have the different sets of at least two items most frequently purchased together. Okay, and now we're ready. See how it was simple? So let's select this and train the Eclat model on our dataset. Done. Okay, so now things change a little bit. First, of course, we see that we just trained the Eclat model, obviously. Then we have the parameter specification like before, but this time we don't have the confidence parameter. We have the support that we set to 0.004, that is the minimum support. And of course, this time we have the minlen equals to 2. Remember, before the minlen parameter was set to 1, but we didn't have any problem with that because all our rules contained at least 2 products. But when using Eclat, we need to set this minlen parameter to 2 because otherwise we'll get some sets of only one item. Okay, then we have these other more advanced informations here. And then there is something that I would like to highlight here. It's the number of sets and not rules. Remember before we had, let's say we had 845. It was written 845 rules because we had the rules of the form. If people buy light cream, then they're likely to buy chicken with a confidence of 40%, that is with 40% chance. And here, since, we don't get these kind of rules of this form and we only get sets of items, well, this time we have indeed 845 sets. So even if Eclat is considered as an association rule learning model, well, this doesn't return rules. This actually returns some sets. Okay, so we're going to have a look at the sets right now. We are ready to move to the last step of our Eclat model. Well, we can actually jump back to the slide. And as we can see, the step 2 is to take all the subsets and transactions having higher support than minimum support. So that's what the function Eclat did itself. And then the last step, step 3, is to sort these subsets by decreasing support. So this time it's not by decreasing lift, like for a priori. There is no lift in Eclat. So this time we're going to sort the rules by decreasing support. All right, and we're going to take the 10 first rules with the 10 highest supports. So we're actually ready. Well, the whole code is actually ready. We did it very efficiently. Well, it was very simple. So eventually, let's have a look at the rules, and you'll see that it's much more simple and honestly less interesting than a priori, but that's what we'll get. So I'm going to select this line and execute. And as I just told you, we simply get the different sets of items most frequently purchased together. So, for example, the set of items most frequently purchased together is mineral water and spaghetti with a support of 0.059, and then it's chocolate, and then it's chocolate and mineral water, then eggs and mineral water, and that's of course strongly related to this most frequently purchased products in the store. So that's the Eclat results, much less interesting than the a priori, but that can be very useful if we're looking for some very simple information. And by the way, since I was telling you, if we, change the support and set it to 0.03 like we did for the a priori model in the first place, well, you'll see that we'll get the same ranking here because, as you can see, the supports of these 10 first sets of items most frequently purchased together all have supports higher than 0.004 or 0.03. So indeed, if we retrain the Eclat model with a minimum support of 0.03, and if we select that again and execute, we get the same ranking with mineral water and spaghetti coming first, and then frozen vegetables, mineral water as the 10th set of products most frequently purchased together. All right, so that was the Eclat model. Again, if you want to have a serious analysis about how to create some added value for your business, optimize the sales and the revenue, you should go for a priori. But if you are looking for some very simple informations like the sets of products most frequently purchased together, then you can go for Eclat. So congratulations anyway, you now know how to implement 2 association rule learning models, the a priori and Eclat, and you know what to use them for. So thank you very much for watching these tutorials, and I look forward to seeing you in the next part, reinforcement learning. Until then, enjoy machine learning!